I had to make a hard flying decision the other day, and I know that you will also be faced with this hard decision soon, so it's really worth talking about here. So last weekend I had some time carved out on a Sunday afternoon to go flying, which as a new dad doesn't come very often, so I was pumped about this. I was really looking forward to getting a few hours away. So that morning, my wife and I took our son to church, but I really wasn't feeling that great. Like I had some sort of cold or allergies or something. So afterwards, we dropped off our son at his grandparents' house, and they said, "Hey, how was church?" And I said, "You know what, I think it was good, but I just honestly had a really hard time paying attention. I just kind of feel foggy." So I go to the airport and I end up just sitting in front of the hangar. I haven't even opened up the hangar doors yet. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, you know what, something really feels off. Like every part of me wants to go do this, but I don't know if I should do this. And then I realized I was right in the middle of an I'm safe checklist. And we've all heard it before: illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, emotions. It's a nice acronym for deciding if you're fit to fly that day, but honestly it can be kind of fuzzy to implement in the real world. I mean, stress and fatigue, like, yeah, that's my life right now. So how do I know if I'm across the line in those areas and not fit to fly that day? But I didn't feel crippling stress or excessive fatigue. So honestly, I felt like I was okay on those. Alcohol certainly wasn't at play, so it was good. And emotionally, I was fine. And illness can be fairly subjective. Like, where do you draw the line on that? And this is one of the points in making this video, to kind of show a real world go, no go scenario. And I think the objective sides of a go, no go decision are way easier, like the airworthiness of the aircraft, pilot currency, bad weather, including low ceilings, heavy crosswinds, like strong gusts, that sort of thing. But the subjective sides of your personal performance level, like in the I'm safe checklist, I just feel like that's way squishier, but it's really important to be able to draw some clear lines around when you might not be fit to fly. Because as I've said on this channel before, and in my own experience, safety slips in small stages. You're usually not tempted to do something really big and really stupid because you know it's really big and really stupid, so you'll say no to that decision. But what happens is you get tempted to make seemingly innocuous or things that don't really seem dangerous in the moment, those decisions, just to push it a little farther and push it a little farther and push it a little farther. And then before you know it, you pushed it 3 times and now you're in a big stupid decision, but it was just the summation of those smaller, more kind of seemingly harmless scenarios. And so it's kind of scary to see how fast this can happen. Safety slips in small stages. And so here I was having to make the determination of, hey, do I go ahead and push forward knowing that I might not feel 100% safe to fly? Is this a piece of safety that's slipping in a small stage? But really I had all the reasons to push forward. Like there I am at the airport, I'm pumped, I get a few hours away, I have like all the clearance to go fly, people are taking off, all I gotta do is pull out the airplane and hop in and go, but yet I didn't really feel that great. And so I ended up asking myself a series of a couple questions that I wanted to document here because I think this can be helpful in taking a subjective decision and giving it a little bit more clarity. So question 1 is, how have my focus and my fine motor skills been leading up to this point? You know, I had several data points that day between driving and noticing my reaction time there and then going to church and then telling my in-laws, hey, I couldn't really pay attention very well in church and I felt like I was in a bit of a daze. I mean, you don't have to actually be in the air to know how you might be in the air, which leads to the second question, and that's, how do I see myself reacting in flying situations? Do I feel like I can be on my A game with ATC or react, to an emergency effectively should one arise? Or do I feel sluggish enough that that might be a slight or a big problem in the air? I mean, you can role play that out or even say some of your ATC calls and see how it feels. And so I literally did that in the car, and when I did that, it really felt like I was going from groggy to pilot mode, which felt really unnatural and kind of uncomfortable. It was like going from 0 to 100 miles an hour, and I just like wasn't keeping up mentally. And so you can role play that with yourself, and you don't actually have to be in the air to do it. And question 3 is that with those things in mind, can I just give myself some grace today and just be okay not flying? I mean, despite my fear of missing out, the FOMO, despite my schedule being hard to fly as much as I want, despite my desire to go have fun in the air, like, it's okay to ground yourself. And I think a lot of us, myself included, tend to look at other people and think, man, we're the only people in the world that struggle with consistency or scheduling or certain pilot skills. Everyone else seems to be perfect in that area. And that's just not the case. Like, I want you to hear me say, like, I struggle with scheduling. I struggle with being bummed to cancel flights. But we're not alone, and we need to be able to give ourselves I'm telling myself this, we need to be able to give ourselves permission to ground a flight when it's in the name of safety. But going back to the I'm safe checklist, you might have noticed I skipped one thing, and that was medication. Now, I don't take much medicine, and I've forgotten that morning I actually took a Zyrtec allergy pill just because I wasn't feeling that great. And so as I'm sitting in front of the hangar, I thought, I wonder if it has anything to do with the Zyrtec. And so I looked it up, and it is on the no-fly list for the FAA. It turns out if you take Zyrtec, you're grounded for 48 hours because of the groggy effects it can have on you. It's an antihistamine. And so if my decision wasn't already set in stone. It definitely was now. And I thought, well, I already made the decision to not fly, but now the FAA also says I can't fly, so I'm not flying. Quick public service announcement. Anytime you're gonna take medications, even if they're over-the-counter medications, they could still ground you. And so be sure to look up, just Google your medicine and then FAA or FAA no-fly list, and you'll just see, hey, are there any precautions or time delays that you need to have in effect after taking this medication? I was surprised to find that basic allergy medicine is actually on that list. So if I could leave you with anything, it would be this. First is a reminder that safety slips in small stages. In this day, if I had chosen to fly, even the Zyrtec aside, if I had chosen to fly kind of in my groggy state, that would have been a perfect example of safety starting to slip. And that could have led to other decisions in the flight starting to slip. And so I'm really glad that I didn't fly. But then the second point, and even just as important, we all need to be able to give ourselves permission to ground ourselves in the name of safety. And it sucks, and we can be mad about it, we can be upset, we can be bummed, but let's live to fly another day. Just want you to be encouraged in that. And so if you have a similar story where you grounded yourself and you're really glad you did, it could be due to weather, it could be due to health, it could be due to anything, I would love to read it down in the comments because I think it'll be a really helpful encouragement to the entire aviation community.